Hi, everyone. I'm Kim.
And I'm Jasmine, and we're the hosts of the Gravediggers podcast, Letting the Dirt Fly.
And welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. So how did your week go? Okay.
Need some naps. I'm going to take a nap. Well, I guess it's 10:30. I'm gonna go to bed after this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, but I had a cool week.
Yeah, she had a good week.
Okay.
So let's talk about you.
So this week, I am an EMT. I work at the elementary school, and I work in the nurse's office, and I absolutely love it. I have so many fun experiences with all the kids, and just all these funny things that happen all the time. And so I found out that if you have a bachelor's degree in Idaho, that you can do this program that is go at your own pace, and it's 2 to 6 months, and then you can become a certified teacher. Mm-hmm. And since I already have my bachelor's in business management, I was like, okay, what if I combined my love of teaching, because I've been doing tutoring and teaching for the last couple of years. And so if I combined that along with health, and so I was like a health or a science teacher, that would be like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Plus I would get paid more than if I was a nurse in the elementary school.
Because what they're paying you right now is just absolutely like, it's criminal. It should be criminal. Damn. Sorry.
But like, yeah, it's very little what I make, especially with the cost of daycare. I think I'm making about, if you take out daycare costs, I'm making about $100 a week. And so, but I love what I do. So, yep. And it makes me a better parent when I'm a working parent. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm totally fine with this. It'll be good. And I'm actually really excited for this adventure. And it takes a huge stress off of me, because going to nursing school is like,
what, 2.5 more years?
Mm-hmm. And so now I'll be having my own class by fall. And that
makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Well, and first of all, so the kids at the nursing office, like, they pretend to come to her, like, with some, like, oh, my tummy hurts, just to hang out with her and just to talk to her. Okay, so you've got to tell them about the kid that you had that came in today. Like, absolutely wild.
Oh, man. Okay, so this morning, there was all the kids that were in my office just saying hi. I'm eating my breakfast and talking with them. And then this little girl comes in, and she's 2nd grade. And so she comes in, and she's like, oh, I'm so tired. And she kind of just like looks at me in the corner of her eye. And I was like, why are you so tired? Because that's what she's leading for me to ask her. So she's like, oh, my parents were banging all night long. And I cover my mouth because I'm about to laugh.
And, like, I'm over here thinking, like, oh, they must have been, like, hanging up pictures or something.
Yeah. And so all the 5th graders, their eyebrows go up, and they're just bursting up laughing. And she's like, yeah, my parents said that they were moving furniture, but I know better. And that at that point, I lose it. I am
like,
laughing
how do you
so
not?
hard. Then I'm like, I love that the parents use that excuse. And then also, now I have to try, when I look at that parent, to not start laughing, because I know things that their children are telling me. And that's the hardest part. But, like, I am so excited. And all of those kids are like, please be a middle school teacher, because, like, I want to see you next year. And so it's just this great experience. But my week has been crazy emotionally, because I was so dead set on being a nurse.
Yep.
That it has just been kind of a whirlwind, but it has been good at the same time.
Yeah, change is good.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, we are going to talk about being yourselves. And for Kim and I, that means being weird.
Yeah.
And so, like, tell me about, like, your evolution of your weird. Like, how you came into this cloak wearing.
Yeah.
Fan X wearing.
Yeah. I got
Weirdo.
all of the garb today.
All the garb.
Okay. You like my terminology?
I do like
okay.
terminology.
So I don't feel like I was a nerd at all growing up. Mm-hmm. That the most I did was Pokemon cards came out when I was like 2nd or 3rd grade. And all I remember is I think I traded my whole deck for a shiny Rapidash card, because Rapidash is a flaming pony, so of course...
Why not? You're a 2nd grade girl.
Yeah, that's exactly. And so I didn't, like, do anything nerdy until what was it? I was married. So my husband was already like hook, line, and sinker. He was already tied in. But we have this best friend, and he is like, he's that person that if you called up and said, I need to bury a body, he'd be like, bring a shovel, and where do you need me to be? Yeah. And like, so I had to get permission from him to even marry my husband. That's like how close this person is. And he came over a weekend with all the guys, and we did Dungeons and Dragons for the first time, or D&D. And I fell in love. I absolutely loved it. And started getting my own dice sets and doing my own character sheets.
Her dice set are so cool.
Okay, yeah, I have a metal set, which is so fun because it's like the heavier set, but I'm like...
heavier set.
Now I can't get that out of my head when I roll those dice. Yep. But yeah, so I have been doing that. And then I got into... realizing that I also love dressing up. As a kid, like Halloween was so much fun.
It was my jam.
And then did you do Spirit Weeks growing up?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh yeah, crazy hair days and pajama days.
And so doing all those, you're
all
like,
the good stuff.
This is so fun. Mm-hmm. And as you're getting older, you're like, I can still like dress up on these special days. But as an adult, like, you don't have dress up days unless you work at like an elementary school.
Yeah, unless you're you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I know it brings me joy, but at the same time, and then I realized that there's Comic-Cons. And it's where everybody dresses up as their favorite characters.
It's like adult Halloween. That's what I had to explain it to my boss. Because she's like, I told her my costume idea. And she's like, wait, I thought it was for superheroes and stuff. And I was like, it is for everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could dress up as a cardboard box and you'd be supported. You'd be like, nice box, you know?
Yeah. 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 And they'd be like, oh, can I get a picture with you?
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes you feel so good because you're like, yeah, I worked really hard on this cardboard box. Like,
that's right. Oh, but you had a really good outfit at your Comic-Con experience.
Oh, okay. So, the last time that I went to, like, the big one in Salt Lake City, I was Kim Possible, which I absolutely love Kim Possible. And I went there because Will Friedle, who is the voice of Ron Stoppable, he's also in Boy Meets World, he was going to be there. And I was like, oh, this is going to be so good.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah. And there was actually this moment. I'm walking down one of the booth aisles, and I'm walking down, and all I hear is, hey, KP. I look to my side, and there he is. And I was like, oh, hey. And I kept walking, and I was like, ah. And then I had two friends with me, and one of them is like, I thought he has, like, long hair. I was like, no, it's long when he was in Boy Meets World, but it's short now. And the other guy, he has, like, these pinholes for his mask, and so he's like, oh, I didn't even see him.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like,
the best moment in the history of everything.
So good. Yeah. And so I was dressed as Kim Possible because I was a cheerleader growing up. Everybody called me KP, and now my initials are KP.
Yeah.
So
what a world. Full circle that's how that happened. That's so cool. So my first Comic-Con was the Boise Comic-Con, but before that, my first big experience, I guess I kind of got two. So I'm a big Star Trek fan. Grew up with Star Trek, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so when my brother was 16, we actually got to go to the Star Trek Experience, which was in Las Vegas.
Ooh.
And so it's over now, so unfortunately you can't experience it. But they had everything from, like, Quark's Bar with Romulan Ale, which I was too young to have. But, like, an experience where you, like, it's like a virtual ship experience where, like, you're pretending to be on, like, the starship and you're getting hit by, like, the enemies. And, like, it's so cool. And so, like, there was this whole experience. And so then I am, 22 years old or so. And I get the chance to go to a Star Trek convention. I have to show you the pictures.
Yeah, I want to see them. I haven't seen them.
It is so cool. So, like, I got my picture with William Shatner and a couple other people. But they had the original series bridge that I could sit in. And they had this one of the cosplay, fans was in full cosplay, like, Borg. Like, insane, intricate outfits.
I could only imagine how long it would take to put an outfit like that together.
Wild. And I'm sure it costed thousands of dollars. But hell, like she was happy.
Mm-hmm.
Stormtroopers were there too, you know, that Star Wars in there.
Yep.
But it was just one of those experiences. I didn't dress up because, I had one friend that had invited me to this that liked Star Trek. But I had never been to anything before where I actually had gotten to dress up and to plan an outfit. So the Boise Comic Con was my first experience actually dressing up for something.
Oh.
And so with this whole school schedule, work, whatever, I decided to get my outfit done the day before Comic Con. And I needed something easy and simple, but also something that's me. So if you haven't seen the show, it's called Bob's Burgers, and I am one of the main characters, Linda Belcher, and my husband was Bob Belcher.
Which I've never seen.
She's never seen. She's a loser.
Yeah.
But we had to go to the thrift store and find little aprons and retro glasses for me. And so we pulled this outfit together last minute.
Which it was actually a lot easier to put it together than we
I
thought it was
going to be.
Yeah.
Really good. And so we go to Comic-Con, and we're walking to the back of this long line, and I hear someone, it's Linda Belcher, and I'm squealing on the inside, they recognize me, I did good. But that was my first experience, just a month ago, of actually getting to dress up with other adults and running around we were having the best time of our lives.
Yeah, and it was so
cool.
good. Yeah, it makes us feel good because we're just because we're adults doesn't mean we can't have these experiences anymore.
So cool. Now, I have a side note because I've been holding this little pal of mine this whole time. And when it comes to being ourselves, one of the things that I love as an adult is stuffed animals, which is weird because I'm 28 years old. But my husband had gone hunting. And so he stops at a gift shop and he gets me this little buffalo. And so her name's Buffalo Sally. My kids are absolutely obsessed with her. Just because I love her, they love her. And she's my best friend. And also Squishmallows. If you haven't heard of the Squishmallows, they're my absolute favorite. I have 2. You could just sit in a whole bin of them. And
I know. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do because I don't have any, I think, at our house.
Oh, we should get you one.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not really a stuffed animal person. I'm more of your soft blanket collection is
Oh, yeah, that brings me happiness.
Yeah, she has 15, 20 super soft blankets, and people give her super soft blankets because she likes them, so she accumulates
never ending supply.
And I'm more of a blanket person than a stuffed animal. So
okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Intermission. 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 That's just another name for a potty break. Did you wash your hands?
Sorry.
Did you wash your hands?
Yeah. So yes, that's why I have an infinite amount of comfort items, including my stuffed animals, my pillows, and everything that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And some people might say that, makes me weird for being 28 years old with all my little things, but that's just me. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I love it too.
Okay, so something that almost broke up our relationship was, what was it, a couple weeks ago?
Okay. Stark Industries. I'm a huge Marvel person. So, first of all, today's May 6th, the premiere of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And so, you know, Kim was...
Are you skipping it for me?
Oh, hell no. Did not skip it for you. I would be there if it weren't for my husband having to work tomorrow.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand our friendship limits.
Yeah, we have limits. So I'm a big Marvel person. And then, you know, she's always said she's been into Marvel. We, you know, talked about the new Spider-Man when it came out. And so a month ago, we're talking and she puts this, like, huge bomb right in front of me. Huge bomb.
I grew up on DC. So, like, I like DC more than Marvel.
Yeah, and now look what she's done. She's got Robert Pattinson as Batman
No,
on her side.
No. No, that was never my choice. And if a DC person put that together, they would never put him in that role.
I wonder who.
Let's be honest. Yeah,
who
I don't
made
know.
that decision?
Okay, let's go to the good, like the trilogy of Batman. And then you think of like, okay, I don't know, like, I only know a couple actors' names.
Yeah.
And Tom Hardy is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And when he played Bane, he was just like, I was born in the darkness. And you were just like, oh. And then
felt so good.
And you felt empowered afterwards.
Yeah.
You were like, I can change the world and I don't even have to have a superpower.
Exactly.
I can like, I want to go out and do something epic and good. And so it was so empowering. But then on top of that, like, I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan.
Wonder Woman is my shit. Gal Gadot. Oh.
And she is like sexy.
She is. Have you seen her? Oh, oof. And then, okay, so you pair her with Chris Pine, also in Star Trek. So, oh, and his eyes. But you put those two in a movie together, and it's like, damn. Like, movie perfection.
See, and I'm like, I love the older style movies.
Yeah.
And so, like, having everybody in the classy outfits and, like, the older time frame, I'm like,
see,
like,
you know, when I look back on those older time frame, I'm like, ooh, I couldn't go to the same bathroom as you. So I don't get as nostalgic.
I didn't even think about that. I was just like, oh, it's so classy. It's so
cool,
cute.
it's so fun. And I'm like, oh, I'm being, like, thrown out of the restaurants.
Okay, never mind.
JK.
Yeah.
But 1984 was absolutely amazing because, like,
yeah.
although I'm not an 80s baby, I was right around the corner from that. And, like, so they were, like, wearing all the 80s clothes. And, like, it was super cool, like, seeing, like, all of, like, the nostalgia from, like, I'll call it the 80s/90s range, when, like, everything was much cooler. You had to wear baggy jeans and, you know, the bottom of your pants were so wide and all the fun colors. Like, bring it back, please.
I know.
But I'll give her those two. We've got to roll back into Marvel because some people that I've talked to are kind of getting tired of the Marvel Cinematic Universe just because there's so many characters being introduced.
Oh, yeah. And then I'm like, if I'm even going to start watching all of them, then, like, I'm like, where am I even going to start? And, like, but you need to watch the episode of this before you watch the episode of this in this series, and then you have to pop back over to this one, and I'm just like...
But I will tell you, so last year they came out with, like, every series was a killer. So there was WandaVision, and WandaVision was, like, talking about mental health. And then there was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that was so relevant at the time because it talked about, like, how Captain America had, you know, offered Sam the shield, and he basically presented him as the next Captain America. But it talked about how would America take that? How would the world take a black Captain America? So it talked about social justice issues, but it also talked about, like, humanity as a whole. Like, how do we do better for everyone? And so it was so relevant. It was so empowering. And then what was the other one? Loki. Oh, Loki was, like, my shit. First of all, Tom Hiddleston. Ugh, love Tom Hiddleston. I love from the weird to the sexy to the everything. But Tom Hiddleston, like, Loki was really about, like, overcoming judgments about yourself and who you are and, like, really coming into you as a person. And so, like, that's why I'm so into, like, Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, like, DC. All of these movies are so empowering because it's about morality, what's right and what's wrong. It's about space, it's about philosophy, and it's about being better and doing better. And that's what I love about these series. And I think that's what draws me into them because all of them have, like, a bigger message behind every episode. But, like, when it comes to DC, don't get me wrong, you guys have some good episodes over there. But, like, when you go into like Aquaman, first of all, it had Amber Turd in it, so that's a real downfall.
I don't know names of actors. So you say that, I'm like...
Amber Turd. No, Turd. It's a reference. She doesn't, like, pay attention to social media.
No.
So the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard
Oh, okay, yeah.
case. She is alleged to have shit on his bed. Literal shit on his bed. There's a picture. And so she's being called Amber Turd now.
Oh.
And she was the woman in Aquaman.
Oh, she was?
Yeah. The redhead?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're not a fan of her.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, sorry. So DC's getting a real kick in the butt right now. Sorry, Kimberly.
Yeah.
I'll love you forever.
Nah.
But last weekend, I finally got to live one of my dreams of, like, really, like, enveloping myself in a series with someone else. And so it was Picard Day. Picard season 2 came out.
Oh, but, like, also, Star Trek really bonded us right off the beginning.
Oh, I love Star Trek so much.
So she came... What did you say to me?
Oh, I was just like, what kind of shows do you like to watch? Because I was like, I like Star Trek. And usually the response I get from that is like, oh, I've heard of it. I've only seen a couple, episodes here and there. And Kimberly's like...
Like, my dad raised me on this.
Yeah.
I remember the VHSs of, like, having to fast forward past the commercials because we recorded on these random VHSs that had, like, the little white sticky tape, and we, like, had the...
Yeah.
The Sharpie written off of what episodes, and we're like, oh, let's watch season 3 right now. And then we watch it and rewind and fast forward. And so I remember growing up with it. I might not remember. I remember bases, but I don't know actors' names or anything.
Oh,
but,
like, okay. So
yeah.
Sir Patrick Stewart is, like, the perfect envision of a grandfather. Like, adopt a grandfather and adopt a granddaughter, please. Because Sir Patrick Stewart is so cute. Like, he has this little cat that he posts on, like, social media and stuff like that, and he's getting so old, and like we need to find a way to preserve him for the entirety of life, like put him in a time capsule or freeze him until we can figure out technology, because he's one of the ones that needs to be preserved for the future.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like that kind of goes with like how he helped raise us through time, that we can just freeze him until later.
If he ever dies, I'll probably have to call into work on that day. That's gonna be a rough day.
Aww.
So cute.
We'll have to get like little tiny. We'll get outfits for Comic-Con, and we'll be like Star Trek fans, and we'll have the little
the little communicator.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have I work for Samsung, so I have the Z Flip 3, the phone that like folds in half, and so like every time I'm opening it, like in my brain, I'm always doing like the tricord, and I'm always like and so every time people are like, oh, your phone flips in half, and I'm like, yeah, have you ever seen Star Trek? That's like my first go-to.
It's exactly the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. So I like every single sci-fi, all of that, like I grew up on it, but my friends and stuff didn't, so I didn't get to read the Harry Potter books, so I didn't see Harry Potter until I was an adult, and none of my friends were really into that kind of stuff. So when I met Kim, I was like, finally, I've met someone that I can share my interests with.
But that was a really big hurdle, because she's one of those people that has watched the movies and not read the books of Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm a mega what is it? Mudblood?
Mudblood,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And Kim's over here like all Satan holy, like read all the books, seen all the movies. What did we call you? Like the good ones? I don't know. There's probably a name for. See, that's why I have that. That's the struggle. I've never read the books. But yeah.
But I feel like I am reverting back to all of the ways when I was younger and all the things that I like doing. So my new adventure that I started right after COVID. So there's a ghost.
Yes, I've got 3 kid ghosts that live in my house, and they like to play tricks on me. Her second youngest tells me about the 3 ghosts that I have at the house. They're little kids. They love me, apparently.
Okay. Well, that's good.
They have all great things to say, so that's really good. They really are. They're like, I want her to be my mom. So
I imagine like snacks would go accidentally missing.
Yeah. It's either them or the kids, and
yeah, and they could blame the ghosts. So
they could blame the ghosts, but yeah, we've got little ghost children that like to play tricks. So don't mind them while I hiccup.
But so what I started right after COVID was I started doing LARPing. And LARPing is live action role playing, and it's whenever you see people dressed up in medieval outfits in their garb, and they have I am currently working on making my own scale mail chainmail vest.
Oh, yeah.
And so I am working on that, which, if for anybody's notice, do not make it yourself, because it is very tedious of like hooking all the loops together.
Hand by hand.
Yeah.
Piece by piece.
But I love it. And I remember the first day though, I went out there, I had my outfit and I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, no, I can't do this. No, I'm not going to do this.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it was a little nerve-wracking, and finally I went out there, and it was okay, but then there is like 2 or 3 people, those darn ghosts.
Those darn children. Leave us alone.
Sorry, if you're not seeing, our backdrop just fell, and then we also had an iron fall off of the shelf.
That's fine.
Just normal stuff. Yeah. But there are these 3 people that are just so warm and loving. And one is like the head of the park, and he's just this jolly guy that like you just want to be friends with him. He's just so cool. And then there was another guy, and after it was like my second or third time coming to park, he was like, I heard you want to make your own sword. Here, I brought extra foam, and I brought extra core, and this is how you do this. And he was able to teach me like how to make my foam sword. So anyone that's watching the YouTube video can see that I made my own sword. So it's really fun. And
really use that to beat the children.
I've already beat your children tonight.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I snuck in with my cloak in the dead of night.
Uh-huh.
They all knew it was me.
Yeah.
And they were like, Kim, what are you doing? And I went, shh. And then I bam, 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 and smacked them on the head. They thought it was really funny, but
good. They're supposed to be sleeping anyway, so
yeah,
they need a little bit of beating.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
So I've been doing that, and it's been really fun. And then I'm planning on doing another, because there's different LARPing organizations, and I'm planning on doing one with Jasmine during the summertime.
A whole weekend worth of fun.
Yeah, and so you actually dress up the whole weekend, and they have stricter costumes that you have to make sure that you are within like your race and what you're doing, so then people understand, oh, you are from bird folk because you have the feathers coming off of your face, and you have to like, or you're part of this clan because you have these colors, and it's just really cool. And I'm really excited for that one, but
I love that.
I haven't done that one yet. Well, we haven't
done it yet. Yeah.
Because I'm snagging her and I'm taking her with me.
My first adventure.
I know.
But it's funny how like all of our weird stuff, like you see all of the weird that we encompass, and it's starting to like slowly bleed into the children.
Oh, yeah.
So like I started off by like calling the kids like booty butts, and I'm always teasing them. And so like I'm always being silly, encouraging them to be like funny. Like my kids will fart and like we all start laughing, and then my husband's like, you guys are disgusting. I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do. So one time my oldest comes over to me and she's like, the middle pooped in the backyard once.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, she pooped in the backyard. And I was like, there's no way. Like, she's the sweetest little girl you could ever meet in your life. So she comes up and she's like, yeah, I did. And I was like, there is a bathroom like 20 feet away from you. Why would you do that? Like, I don't understand. And she just starts laughing like it's the funniest thing to her. So I've definitely created monsters. I do this thing. Okay, let me just get ready. So I do this thing where I meow at the kids. And I have a pretty good meow. My motto in life is always like to put out the energy if I do get reincarnated to be a house cat in a loving home, because being pet and so anyway, here's my
oh, this is good.
Meow. And so
yeah, that was spot on.
That was it. So I started doing that to the kids. So I pick up my youngest from school the other day, and I was like, I missed you today. And he's like, I missed you today, Mom. And I was like, meow, and he meowed back at me. Like, it was like our thing now. And so, like, I'm definitely creating like mini little weirdos. But I love it because like I feel like it's teaching them to like be themselves and to be comfortable in who they are.
I feel like soon they're gonna start like nuzzling up to you and like,
I try and purr. Sometimes like I can't do a purr. I don't know how to do a purr yet. I've never been good at rolling my R's or any of that stuff yet. Exactly.
As I clear the spit off of my face.
So that's my next life. Adopt a cat. Find me in the next life.
See, and my oldest has been a weirdie like ever since she was little. I remember. So I used to be an apartment manager. I was in on-site student housing.
Okay, so this girl is like, there's a reference that I'm thinking of, but you know those people that like have had every single job in like the whole entire world? We'll have a conversation and she's like, oh yeah, I did this one time. And I just look at her and I'm like, when did you find the time to do that? Anyway,
yeah,
go on.
It's pretty much anything.
Go on.
Yeah, so I was on-site apartment manager for student housing, and we were repainting an apartment complex, and I was painting one of the rooms, and my oldest was drawing on the wall, and then she had to go down for nap time, so I put her down for nap time, and then I finished painting the walls, and then she came back out, and then we went upstairs, and I was getting washed up and everything. And this is what I found out, is that she comes into the living room with all of our cousins and friends because they were all helping with the painting. And she goes, my mom put my friends in the wall. And I was just like...
That is so dark.
And she said it so creepy.
Yeah.
And I was like, good thing it was around friends and family, like people that knew me.
Right, that didn't think you were some serial killer that stuffs children into walls.
Yeah, exactly. And so then they come and they're like, hey, what happened? Because she says that, like, you put her friends in the wall. And I was like, are you talking about your painting? And she's like, yeah, it's all gone. And I was like, oh, her friends were pictures on the wall and mom painted over it. So now they're in the wall. And so I was like, oh, okay. But she made it a lot more creepier than...
So you've got one creepy girl that puts her paintings into walls. And then you've got your second to youngest that's either she's really spiritually connected or she's just making shit up.
Oh. Yeah.
And
probably the second one.
Probably making shit up. But I'm having a good time. Like, she was over here and I was like, okay, can you see colors on people? She's like, yeah. And I was like, what color am I? And so she told me my color. Can't remember it for the life of me. And I was like, what color are you? She's like, well, I'm purple, but no one else is purple. She's like, but your daughter's purple and I'm purple. And I'm like, oh, so you guys are the cool ones. So we've either got a seer or a really imaginative kid. Yeah. But I like to go with the seer because that makes life more interesting.
I know. Yeah. I agree with that.
That's what I love about us.
Well, what was it the other day? My youngest, I was cleaning out the garage and she's sitting on this stool and she started going,
she's so cute too,
and we call her our Tonka truck because she's just full of rolls.
Oh,
she just
has all these rolls, and when you pick her up and you hug her, it's so it's fulfilling.
Yeah, so she's like and I was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "You doing okay?" "Yeah, mom." And I was just like, "Okay." And I was like, "Who taught you this?" And she's like, "Dada." And I was like, "Okay." I get it.
You're
which
just a
is
weird
my second one
all around.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just they are getting as creepy and weird as me, and I like that because we have been good with us being all weird and everything. Yeah, that they are getting more comfortable. So when they're in school or they're with friends, that they're like, I'm good with being me. If you don't accept me as me, then
that's your problem.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Well, if you guys out there have any weird questions that you'd like to send to us, or topics or stories, we'd love to have them.
Add them in and kind of add your weird stories with us.
Exactly.
We want to hear them.
We want to hear them.
And see if we've done any of them, which we probably have.
Yeah. Because remember, this podcast is a conversation, and this conversation needs you.
So we're going to wrap it up tonight, and we'll catch you guys later. Thank you for listening to the Gravediggers podcast.
We are your best friends, Jasmine
and Kim.
please subscribe and find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at gravediggers.j as in Jasmine.
K as in Kim.
And look for us on Patreon, where we give exclusive content, seasonal gifts, and early access to those that help us provide this content.
Till next time, don't be afraid to dig in the mud
And get a little dirty.